Alrighty, well, good morning, everybody. We're going to start us off this year with a little bit different start, and that is we're going to welcome the fire department band to start us off this morning. Be honest and tell you that this is probably one of the most favorite days of the year for me because, you know, this is our 19th year of hosting our annual Public Safety and Community Appreciation Luncheon. And it's an opportunity for us to come together, public safety, public agencies, and really our community to celebrate our community, to celebrate the work we do together, and really to come together really united in the same mission, which is to have a healthy, happy, and safe environment. There are people here, members across our community, that really, as I'm going to say today, is really the fabric of who we are here in Sacramento. I want to start with some group acknowledgements first. And first of all, there are folks here in this room, members of public safety associations, legislators, public officials, educators, school administrators, healthcare, the legal community, business professionals, community-based organizations, public service agency representatives, administrators, and our faith-based community. I'm just going to take a minute and ask you to hold your applause. I'm going to do some introductions. We have many, many folks in this room. I appreciate everybody being here. I want to just give some introductions to the folks that are dignitaries here that have come to celebrate with us. From Law Enforcement Public Safety, we have the Chief of Police of Citrus Heights, Ron Lawrence, Elk Grove Chief, Brian Noblet, Folsom Fire Chief, Felipe Rodriguez, Folsom Chief, Rick Hillman, Rancho Cordova Chief, Chris Pittman, City of Sacramento Public Safety Accountability Director, Francine Turnauer, Chief of Police, Daniel Hahn, City of Woodland Chief, Luis Soler, Sacramento County Chief Probation Officer, Lee Seal, Sacramento County Coroner, Kim Jin, Sheriff Scott Jones, Sac Metro Fire Division Director, Grant Gould, Sac State Chief of Police, Mark Awasa, Twin Rivers Chief, David Lugo, U.S. Attorney, McGregor Scott. From the Judiciary, we have Honorable Lori Damrell. We have a number of elected officials here, Jim Cooper, Assemblyman Ken Cooley, State Senator Dr. Richard Pan, Rancho Cordova City Council Member Garrett Gatewood, Elk Grove City Council Member Stephanie Nguyen, Elk Grove City Council Member Steve Dietrich, and Vice Mayor Darren Suen, Rancho Cordova Mayor Linda Budge, Sacramento County Board of Supervisors Member Sue Frost, Patrick Kennedy, Bill Cerna, Citrus Heights Council Member Albert Fox, and Sacramento County Public Health Officer Dr. Olivia Kasiri. We can just take a round of applause and welcome them as well. we also know that we cannot do this lunch every year in the really the professionalism, the level of commitment without our major sponsors. And I want to just ask again to hold your applause, but recognize them because again, it's their commitment and their dedication to this event that makes it so successful. So I would start with Kaiser Permanente, been here for 9 years, Sacramento Credit Union for the 7th straight year, Sacramento Police Officers Association in their 17th year, California ABC Controlled Target Responsibility for Alcohol-Connected Emergencies, or as they call it, their TRACE unit, Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, the California Association of Highway Patrol. And I also want to thank our newest sponsors, Supervisors Patrick Kennedy, Bill Cerna, and California Family Fitness. We can give them a round of applause as well. We also have many other sponsors that you can see through our PowerPoint on the backs of your programs as well, and so we thank them as well. So let's get this started today. I'd like to start with introducing our mutual color guard, which will be comprised of members of local law enforcement and public safety agencies. We'll start with that. That will then be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, which is led by Desiree Aldana, who happens to be a senior at American Legion. I think it's important that when we talk about Desiree that people understand that she is one of the most dedicated members, youth members of our community, engaged in a program called Sisterhood Leader, empowering young women to support each other in their strengths and their worth. We'll follow that by our national anthem, which will be sung by a very talented young woman by the name of Jennifer Fong. So with that, let's start our color guard.
Detail, up and up. Port, palm. Forward, palm. Detail. Hold. 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 Present on.
Now we'll have Desiree lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jennifer, you ready?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land? Land of the free, Thank you.
Great job, girl. All right. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This time I'd like to invite up Chaplain Mindy for our invocation and moment of silence.
Good morning. We're going to start with a moment of silence for Deputy Robert French, and I'll lead you in a word of invocation. Would you bow your heads with me, please? Almighty God, I read your truth in Psalm 7. Your truth says, justice is what you demand. So bring together all the people around you and rule over them from above. God, you are the judge of all people. Judge in my favor, O Lord. You know that I'm innocent. You are a righteous God, and you judge our thoughts and our desires. Stop the wickedness of evildoers and reward those who are good. For God, you are our protector, and you save those who obey you. I thank you, Lord, for your justice, and I sing praises to you, Lord, the Most High. In this we pray, amen. Would you be seated, and let me share something with you? So generally, over the 19 years that we have done and worked with the DA's office to do this breakfast and then now luncheon, we've always done it at the end of the Memorial Week here in Sacramento. This time, this year, we have had our local memorial at the Rose Garden to honor the Sheriff's Department, Robert French's, and then at the Police and Sheriff Memorial yesterday. And then starting on Sunday, and you are all welcome to come, at the California Peace Officers Memorial, we'll have a candlelight vigil for all of our officers that we lost in the state of California. And then on Monday, we will have our Walk of Honor. And then on Tuesday, we will have the California Highway Patrol. So our memorials are not done yet, and our tributes will never be finished, because we will always remember our fallen. And it is right that you are here today to take that celebration of time together so that we can be strong and courageous to meet the needs that we need to do the next couple of days. So I came across the meaning of the badge. So I know law enforcement hates me to embarrass them, but you know your chapter, don't you? So just raise your hand if you wear a badge. Raise your hand if you wear a badge. I didn't make you stand up, did I? All right. Did y'all see those hands? All right. Just remember that at the end of what I share. So the meaning behind the badge. This is where we work in a job most people wouldn't do. The blood running through our veins aren't red, but blue. Many hours of training through blood, sweat, and tears. The patrol car is our home a majority of the year. Some don't understand the split decisions we at times must make, whether it's a life we must save or a life we must take. Just look through our eyes and take a walk in our shoes, then you'll know the true meaning behind the badge we hold so true. It means we will depend on our dispatchers to be lifelines and sometimes our ears. It means we will help calm you down through your sorrows and tears. It means we will run into the bushes or give chase through the trees. It means we will push through the exhaustion and the pain crippling our knees. It means we will comfort your loved ones and rescue the injured from wrecks. It means we will breathe for a child who is struggling to take a breath. It means we will stand there for hours and listen to those who just need to talk. It means we will search in any type of weather for those who are lost. It means we have seen the good and we've seen the evil too. It means we have laughed and yes, even cried with you. And it means we are brothers and sisters forever bonded by the thin blue line. It means that we are honored to face the unknown, to save a life at the risk of losing mine. Make sure you shake a hand of one of those that raised their hands today. I have been the privilege of working with them for over 25 years, and I've got to tell you, I've seen every one of those things out on the streets. Last thing I want to share with you is you were given a little gift from us. Remember I told you a couple of years ago we changed the blue ribbon because we usually had a blue ribbon that you would tie on a car antenna. And for those of you that say, what's an antenna? So we now have the blue ribbon. And very conveniently, we also have a donation envelope for you. So wear it with pride and pay it with your, no, okay. So I just want to thank Anne-Marie and allowing me to always come up here to, again, encourage every one of you. This community is phenomenal. Our law enforcement are phenomenal. And it's such a privilege to be able to pledge allegiance to the flag, sing the national anthem, to be a great American. Amen? So God bless you and God bless the USA.
I was going to make the pitch for her for those donations, but I think she made it for herself. So I cannot underestimate the work that the law enforcement chaplaincy does in our community every day for our citizens, for our police officers. So I would encourage you to think about supporting them and the good work that they do. So we're going to take a break right now, and lunch is going to get served, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start our awesome panel discussion. So enjoy your lunch, okay? Okay. Next up, we are going to do what we do every year, which is to present the Rotary Service Above Self Award. Here to present that from the Rotary of Sacramento Award is President John Lemon. John, if you can come up and help us with that.
Yeah, maybe not. Try it this way. Thank you, Anne-Marie. As Anne-Marie has indicated, my name is John Lemon, and I am honored to be the current president of the Rotary Club of Sacramento. Before getting to the award, I just want to tell you a couple of words about Rotary so you know who we are and why we're here. For more than 110 years, members of Rotary clubs have been addressing challenges at both the local and international levels. Rotary is truly a grassroots organization. Today, it links 1.1 million members around the world to form an organization of international scope. It started with the vision of one individual, Paul Harris, who in 1905 formed the first Rotary Club in Chicago so that professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas, form meaningful, long-time friendships, and give back to their communities. Our club, the Rotary Club of Sacramento, was formed 104 years ago, making it the oldest Rotary Club in this part of California. It's also the largest in our area. Rotary has as its core the idea that its members should encourage and foster the concept of service to our communities, both local and international. From that key principle sprang an important Rotary motto: service above self. Of course, we recognize that many other individuals and organizations cherish that same ideal, the concept that service to others should take precedence over pursuing just one's own goals. Many individuals and professions in our area exemplify this trait of elevating service to the community over their personal interests. And our club believes that members of our police and fire departments and public safety deserve special recognition in this area. And therefore, quite a while ago, we developed a Service Above Self award, which we present annually to a person within these professions who has delivered a particularly important service to our community. This year, the Rotary Club of Sacramento is proud to present its Service Above Self award to a police officer. The recipient of today's award has literally spent a lifetime in our community and has always demonstrated his passion for protecting and improving the lives of its citizens. All of us here today are keenly aware of the huge challenges that currently face our law enforcement community. Most recently, a young man tragically died in a police shooting, and our community was convulsed with outbreakings of grief, anger, and frustration. In other cities, events like the ones that followed Stephen Clark's death could easily have escalated into violence, jeopardizing the lives of countless other individuals. In our view, Sacramento has not suffered this kind of escalation because key leaders, like our recipient today, recognize the trust between many parts of our community, city government, and law enforcement has broken down over time. Even before the events leading up to Mr. Clark's death, our recipient had acknowledged this breakdown and was working towards restoring that trust. Faced with an outpouring of anger and grief following Mr. Clark's death, our recipient provided a voice of sympathy, fairness, compassion, and restraint. He demonstrated the importance of listening to and serving injured and grieving members of our community. He promised fairness to everyone concerned and pledged himself to rebuilding trust. And that shouldn't be a surprise. He's been doing that all of his life. For all of these reasons, the Rotary Club of Sacramento is proud and honored to present its 2018 Service Above Self Award to Sacramento City Police Department Chief Daniel Hahn. This award carries with it a check in the amount of $1,000. Thank you very much.
I suspect that $1,000 is going to go to one of the nonprofits in this room, so I'm sure there might be a fight for that. But congratulations, Chief Hahn. Very well deserved. Before we begin our panel discussion, I wanted to start similar to like we did, for those of you who remember last year, with a video. This year's video is called Unique, and it comes from the Changing Minds Institute. And with that, if we can start the video, please.
What's it like here outside the school?
Oh, it's tough. Nobody's safe here. Cops don't even like to come here. It's not a nice place.
Is there a lot of fighting?
Yes, daily. Could be somebody, you know, they want your lunch. They think you're weak. They're trying to show dominance. You know, teachers are scared to death.
Do you remember one of the students named Unique?
Yeah, shy kid, very withdrawn. I think everything she witnessed here at the school broke her spirit. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, you try to save them, but what do? You can only do so much.
In middle school, you shouldn't have to go through that, especially as a kid. Fights going on, people bringing knives. One of my friends got stabbed, and I was just scared. I just felt like I'm invisible. Maybe I should just give up. I just seen too much. I couldn't take it anymore. As a kid, you're gonna snap, and that's what happened. I snapped. I went to the restroom, and I saw like a nasty message, and it was like to me. I was on the verge of like literally losing it. I was screaming, I was kicking, I was just punching the walls. I kicked the door, and I just ran out, and I saw Officer Al. At that moment, he saw me. He definitely comforted me. He was listening to the frustration and the anger and the sadness that I had, with tears in his eyes. I felt that I was seen, that I wasn't invisible anymore, that I was supposed to be here.
What about Miss Daniels?
It's hard to talk about Miss Daniels without getting choked up. She saved my life.
You can only do so much. You can only do so much, and sometimes I literally feel defeated. Fortunately, I have some students who, I know I'm getting emotional, sorry. Just to see progress lets me know that I'm moving on the right path, because I know that if I've touched just one, not just as a drama teacher, but as a teacher in general, if you can get to that pain, because a lot of these children, my goodness, they just have something to say. They're not being listened to. They're crying out. They're acting out as their way of saying, I am in the room. I am here. And so I don't just arm them with the script. I arm them with paper and a pen. You tell your own story. Unique had all the makings of a warrior, a leader. As we collaborated, she grew more confident. She got her voice back, and she was just fearless. She's one of the students who taught me how deep I could love.
You know where she's at now?
I don't know where she is, but I would love to see her. It's been so long.
How many years has it been?
It's been at least 10 years. And so I taught her that.
Do you believe it?
Acting is living truthfully.
What's your name?
Mercy. What's your name? I'm talking to you. Who are you? I can't hear you. Who are you? What? Miss Daniels? Who are you?
I'm Unique.
Oh, no! To the back of that wall.
I'm Unique.
Why are you here, Unique?
Because I broke barriers.
You did what?
I broke barriers.
There's someone in the back of that room not paying any attention to you. Make them hear you.
I broke barriers.
Tell them, who are you?
I am Unique.
Why are you here?
Because I am unique and I belong here.
Oh my gosh, I always knew you could do it.
so proud of you.
I think I've watched that video probably 3 or 4 times, and every time it has an impact because it's all about breaking barriers. And her story is such a powerful message on the importance of role models and mentors in our community. It's an important message about how our mentors can help our youth overcoming challenges that they face every day in their own life experiences, whether it be fear, anger, frustration, and sometimes hopelessness that they may be feeling. There's no doubt that our youth and our community has faced many challenges. As I learned long ago from one of my dearest high school teachers who's here today, that there is what we call in our community an opportunity gap. And our commitment here today, my commitment, has always been that we work together in our criminal justice partners and our community-based organizations so that we can narrow that gap. This year's theme has been, or is, I should say, is Partnering for Public Safety, Solutions for a Stronger Community. And many months ago when we started this planning, I felt that it was important that we hear not simply from law enforcement, but from some of our community-based organizations, to hear from them on exactly how are we trying to narrow that gap, how we can use mentoring to play a critical role in that aspect. And I'm very proud today to introduce our 4 panel members. I'm going to sit down with my cue cards in a minute, but first of all, Rachel Minnick, Daryl Roberts, Rochelle Dittmore, and Chief Daniel Hahn. Take this with me here. I hope I don't fall off. Okay. All right, I'm going to first introduce our panel members, and then we're just going to do a series of questions for them. I think what I like the most about today is it gives them an opportunity to showcase the incredible work they're doing in our community that many folks may not even know. So let's start with Rachel Minnick. Rachel has served as the Executive Director of Reading Partners in Sacramento since 2015. She previously served as the District Director for Councilmember Angelique Ashby, who I love. Rachel has a 25-year career in nonprofit education and government work with a particular focus on elementary-age children, advocacy, and building connections between nonprofits, public officials, and the larger community. So welcome, Rachel. Daryl Roberts is a co-founder of the Roberts Family Development Center. I think most people know that Daryl is a well-respected community leader with a proven track record of successfully administering community-based organizations and developing community programs. Daryl is known nationally for his involvement in community projects such as NIA, the Birthing Project, St. Hope Academy, Healthy Start, and the Salvation Army's Oak Park Community Center. Welcome, Daryl. Rochelle Dittmore, with her sister shirt over here, is the co-founder of the nonprofit City of Refuge. City of Refuge is located in Oak Park. The City of Refuge's mission is to cultivate a community that empowers broken lives through ministries that provide resources for young people, adults, and families, including survivors of sex trafficking, as they move forward from abusive relationships to self-sufficient recovery lifestyles. Welcome, Rochelle. And clearly not last but not least is Chief Daniel Hahn, who was sworn in as Sacramento Police Chief in August of 2017. Born and raised in Oak Park, he has graduated from Sacramento High School, started his career in Sac Police Department in 1987, where he rose through the ranks to become captain. In 2011, Roseville tried to steal him for a while as their chief of police, where he served for 6 years. And as he says oftentimes, he finally came home in August of 2017. Chief Hahn is a member of a number of organizations and volunteers his time on numerous boards throughout the region. Welcome, Chief Hahn. So the First question's fairly simple for the panel. I'll start with Rachel Minnick. Describe your agency and what it currently is doing in terms of community outreach.
Thank you. So Reading Partners is a national nonprofit. I run the Sacramento chapter, and our goal is really to ensure that children read on grade level by 4th grade. And we do that not just by tutoring students, but by engaging the community. So there are people in this room right now who are Reading Partners. And what that means is they give an hour a week, and they spend time tutoring a child using our curriculum, so we make sure their time is well spent, and they work with that child for the whole school year. So we get really great results with their reading, but we also see this relationship, this mentorship develop between a child and their tutor. So it's really, it's just a really meaningful experience. And a lot of these are kids that if we catch them now, you don't have to catch them, which is really important to me. And the other thing too is I think the community wants to do something about education. I think they want to be part of the conversation around public safety. And we really give them a tangible way to be involved. And we have public safety entities. The district attorney's office has challenged some of you out there to become Reading Partners, and I still would encourage you to do that. But it's a really, it's just a really motivating and exciting way to watch the community kind of break down barriers between neighborhoods and really get to know each other.
Thank you, Rachel. Darryl?
Thank you, Anne Marie. My wife Tina and I started Roberts Family Development Center 17 years ago. We started in North Sac. Now, for Chief Hahn, I professionally grew up in Oak Park. We have a running dialogue that I left Oak Park. Actually, I got kicked out of Oak Park and ended up in North Sac, Del Paso Heights. We started a family center with the thought of being a support system in the community to work with children and families who really wanted to do well, but weren't really sure how to do it. So we thought going into North Sac would be a starting point for us, and it has been. After we worked with 13 kids that first year, today we work with more than 800 kids citywide, working in 4 of our school districts, Sac, Natomas, Twin Rivers, and Roebla. And in each of those school districts, we try to provide an after-school program designed to academically support children, emotionally and spiritually be supported, expose them to the life we in this room live, seeing opportunities, going places, doing things, visiting Sac State as the guest of Dr. Nelson. It's important that children in all of our communities see the resources that exist in our community. We try to do that through our after-school program and our summer program called Freedom School. So those 2 entities are primarily the entities that we use to grab children, but more importantly, grab their parents. Because every part of of anything that we do has a parent component. A monthly parent meeting or a weekly parent meeting during the summer, where parents are brought into the space where their children are learning and are understanding what it means to have an educated child, but also have a supported child. I think my invitation here, and I wasn't sure if it might be rescinded, because at some points I realized, you sure you're inviting me to do this? And Chief is going to be on the panel? Okay. You got to know there's a friendship between us. There's a relationship between us that I think has to be some part of the conversation that we have about connecting with the community. Because as we talk about law enforcement in the community, we really need to begin talking, and he said it before, as one. And how do we integrate those relationships on a day-to-day basis? At Roberts Family Development Center, the police department, DA's office, and other law enforcement agencies are just a part of our kids' lives. There's not really anything special about it except that they're a part of their lives, visiting, dropping by, participating, the kids participate in nightlife in our community. Nightlife is our teenage intervention project in North Sacramento, Del Paso Heights, that we use as a way to introduce and maintain relationship between law enforcement and our community. So thank you for allowing me to be here. I'll talk more about some of the other things that we do as well.
Thank you, Darryl. All right, Rochelle Ditmore.
Yes, thank you. City of Refuge is a neighborhood-based organization located in Oak Park. And we are all about Oak Park. My husband and I live there. I've been a resident for 18 years. I raised my children there. We run after-school programs as a part of City of Refuge. We have a program called Shine that's in 10 of our neighborhood schools for girls, where we have an entire team where you will go into the cafeteria and you will think balloons and confetti just like blew up in there. It's gorgeous, it's pretty. We believe in doing things pretty. Is that okay to say that, girls? And we teach girls strength, worth, and purpose. We also have a program called Grit in the schools for boys, teaching them just things that boys need. And then we also have a housing program for young women who have been victims of human trafficking. We have an emergency housing program, and we partner with great organizations like CASH. I know, Cindy, you're here somewhere, who does great work in our community as well. And then we have a transitional housing program. And our mission is really to be a part of the restoration of a neighborhood. And as we see the changes and the restoration that have happened in Oak Park, we believe that restoration looks a few different ways. And it's inclusive to those who have been dismissed, marginalized, and left out. And so we like to do things like turn a former trap house into a beautiful new home and see lives restored in its place. So that's what we do and who we are.
Y'all can clap for that. So I think I don't have to explain some parts of what a police department does, but Sacramento Police Department has about 1,000 members. And so I could sit here all day for about an hour and talk about what we do with youth programs, so I'll just talk about one. We have what we call criminal justice high school magnet programs. They're at Grant High School, McClatchy High School, Kennedy High School, and Johnson High School. They've been around for about 30 years. Grant started in 1996. And so they take kids in high school from freshman all the way through their senior year. It's part of their class schedule throughout the day, and they get the same curriculum that you get in the regular police academy, spread over 4 years, plus a bunch of other things. They have to do community service, they have to have good citizenship, they have to have certain grades, and they really become a family, and we're getting better and better at hiring people out of those programs, but not a lot of the people in those programs do not want to become police officers, but it's a great program for them to be in. And so that feeds into just one other thing for college. We have a program at Sac State that we're soon going to expand to City College and Cosumnes River College, and that's what we call the LEX program, where people in college that want to become police officers, they go through that program at Sac State. There's a graduation for it today at 3 o'clock if you want to come, at Folsom Hall at Sac State, and we've been hiring several of those folks out of those programs that are very diverse, not only by race and gender, but experiences and what degree they have. So, and I could go on and on, but that's one of our biggest youth programs.
Great, thanks, Chief Hahn. All right, the next question, I'll start with, how about Daryl, this one. How does your mentorship play a role with your organization in enhancing the lives of our kids in our community?
From a personal perspective, mentoring has been the reason that I am where I am today in life. Grew up in New Orleans, the housing projects in New Orleans. There are apparently no New Orleans natives, because usually when you're in a room with people in New Orleans, they start screaming, "Go Saints" or something. Who that? Okay, there's somebody, forgive me. Yes, sir. Good to see you too. I did, thank you. Okay, just two, good stuff. No, you're not, sorry about that. But mentors were the reason that I was able to break the cycle along with my mom and my dad. My father and mother split at 12, but my dad still had a strong influence on me. So he has to take the place of that first mentor, followed by a group of college students at Dillard University, who I really remember always just throwing rocks at Dillard as a young kid growing up. My mom never knew that, but she's passed, so she won't know it from you either. But those college students took me under their wings and made me realize that college was more than just a place to just a chunk of rock at. Instead, it was a place for higher learning, for an opportunity to do better in life. And if you wanted to do better, all you had to do was apply yourself, work hard, dedicate yourself to a vision. Coming to California, I had a grandfather, Edmund St. Cyr, who was a school's custodian, who was also president of PTA. And I remember one day asking him, Daddy, why do you always after school don't come home? You hang out at the school. And he's working with teachers, working with parents. And I went to a PTA meeting and I realized that his presence at that meeting meant so much to those in the community. So mentoring then from there to college, to California, both to college, where I met a gentleman by the name of Congressman Julian Dixon. Congressman Dixon took me under his wing as a college student, allowed me to come to Washington, D.C., influenced me in a way that I really didn't realize he would be doing, exposing me to state government, where I had a chance to be tutored by and mentored by a number of men and women at the state capitol. One of those is Joe Dabbs. And Joe was in the audience and was instrumental in me recognizing the connection between community and the Capitol. And I say all this long thing because for our kids, they need those experiences. Every day at Roberts Family Development Center, we have hired college students to work with elementary, junior high school, and high school students to be exactly the role models that I got. See, we don't do anything any fancier than I grew up with in New Orleans. Relationships, people who care about you, adults who showed you and modeled to you good behavior, being straight, being forward, hardworking, doing homework. College students do homework every day. Typically they do, or they should. And talking to elementary school, junior high school, and high school students about doing homework is a natural thing for them. But also, I recognize myself and my wife as role models for the young staff of college students who we hire. So we become role models and mentor them in a way that gives them an understanding of commitment, dedication, being out of your comfort zone, being unafraid to step in a place that at that moment might seem foreign, but once you get there, you recognize, I can handle this, I can do this. I'm fortunate enough to say to you, we do mentoring 24/7. We don't call it mentoring, we simply call it caring about the kids that we serve. In our community, we really gonna have to start thinking about, are you in this room looking at the kids who you're really concerned about and figuring out ways that you too can assist them in being mentored? I didn't say you had to mentor them, but you will figure out a way to assist them in making sure that they are mentored. Because in our neighborhoods that are weakest, it simply says our city can never call itself a truly strong city until we address the concerns in those neighborhoods.
Go, Rochelle.
You know, I believe that trauma needs relationships and our communities need our longevity. And we too, Daryl, absolutely agree with you that relationships are key, they are fundamental. We talk to our team about this often. We have wonderful programs. Programs are merely tools into the hearts of children and young adults. We have a staff member who grew up in a rival neighborhood of Oak Park, and his life was transformed personally because of a mentor in his life. And his cousins to this day are just blown away that every day this young man comes to City of Refuge 3 days a week. He's actually a barber, and he comes in, and these little boys come into City of Refuge looking one way, and they walk out looking another. And while they're sitting in his chair, he has their ear, and he makes sure that these little boys are going to school looking the best they can, feeling the best they can about themselves, and he's merely just used the tool that was in his hand to make an impact in somebody's life. And so it blesses me as a mother and a mother of a son to see the impact that City of Refuge is making in the lives of young boys. But I am a girl, and I love girls, and I love our Shine program. So I talked a little bit about our Shine program. We have a 6-week program at elementary. Yeah, I brought you a gift. Sorry, it's stuck on my bracelet. at elementary, middle school, and high schools. It's called Shine, and we teach girls strength, worth, and purpose for 6 weeks. But once Shine is over, our girls are invited into sisterhood. And it's just been this amazing thing. We're walking on school campuses and we're hearing teachers and principals hugging us, welcoming us as sisters. You're hearing little girls on school campuses, older girls who were kind of being catty against one another, American Legion girls beginning to reconcile and using this language of sisterhood that we are better together. So we actually, once girls graduate from Shine, they're welcomed into sisterhood. You want to hold this up, Daryl? And I apologize because it says ain't on the back, but you're getting one for your daughters. My first quote made it on a t-shirt. It says, ain't no hood like a sisterhood in the back, City of Refuge. So I actually brought one for you, Anne Marie, and for both of your daughters, Chief Han. So you can take them. We'll figure out the sizes. But I'll tell you, it may sound a little all over the map. You do programs in the neighborhood and then schools and then you have a housing program. How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you, our housing program happened because of mentoring, because of work in Sacramento since 1998. And 8 years ago, these little girls that we spoke into as children, some of them came back and they needed an answer. And they came to someone who they believed would still believe in them. And so we opened up our first house and started housing victims of human trafficking, and it wasn't because we were chasing an issue. It was because we believed in the longevity of relationship. I can't say enough. Mentoring is simply locking arms with little ones and middle ones and big ones and staying the course, being the ear, never being too disappointed, and always knowing they'll come back. You know, those you've seen it, right, Daryl? Years later, they come back. Maybe out of prison, they come back. And we get to be those roots to place hearts in our community.
So first and foremost, I had the best mentor leader I could ever have, and that was my mom. So from the day I was born, I had that to look at and to emulate. And so I'll just give an example. I think that out of at least governmental entities, there's no profession, no job that's more influential than a police officer. And I can prove it to you by if somebody walked into this room and wearing a uniform, you'd all notice if the lights were on. If they didn't have a uniform on, you might or might not notice, but you would notice if somebody walked in a uniform. And so there's a real responsibility that comes with that. And I'll just give a quick story. So about an hour before this lunch started, I got a text from somebody I've known since like mid-90s. And this person was a twin. Daryl probably knows her. She grew up on Elm Street. I harassed her into joining the Criminal Justice Academy at Grant High School when she was a freshman. Her twin played basketball, was too cool to be in the academy, although she was in the room every single day. She just couldn't bring herself to putting on a uniform and being part of the program. But if you didn't know any better, you would think she was part of the program. Well, her mom got really sick one of her school years in high school. So I started, as a police officer, going to her parent-teacher conferences, taking her home, taking her to her functions, doing all the things that her mom couldn't do because she was bedridden. Luckily, her mom got better, and she's still with us to this day. But she went on to graduate from high school, went to college. She's a school teacher in Atlanta now. And she just texted me about an hour before this luncheon saying, I love you. I appreciate all that you've done for me, and I'm so proud of what you do. I texted her back, I love you, and I'm inspired by what you do every day. Because not only is she a teacher in Atlanta, but she has now adopted like 5 kids. If you look at her Facebook page, you're like, oh my God, how many kids do you have? All different ages. There's like a 15-year-old, a 2-year-old. Some of them have disabilities. But that's what she's chosen to do with her life. And I think we all have that responsibility when we have a position of leadership, which every single person in this room does, to be able to be there when you're needed and somebody needs you. And she's proof of that, not just for me. There's a lot of mentors she had in her life. But that's what can happen when people lift others up.
Great answer. All right, Rachel, top that one.
I definitely cannot top that one. I am from Kalamazoo, Michigan, though, which is really weird. Yeah. Yes. I know. No one's ever heard of it, and there is no zoo there at all. not as cool as New Orleans. I'm not as cool as Mr. Roberts. He's got an awesome outfit. Look at him. Look at him. My time here is up. No, just kidding. So for us at Reading Partners, we kind of back away sometimes from the term mentoring, but really what we do is mentoring. And we really wouldn't exist as an organization if we did not have the driving force of volunteers stepping up from the community to work one-on-one with the kids. And so those relationships sometimes come, we have like Sac State students who are like, I just need to get 90 hours of service time, and they start off and they're a little bit maybe not super bought into what they're doing when they're working with their student, but by the end, we have to drag them out of Reading Partners. They don't want to say goodbye at the end of the school year to their student because they have become so close. And so I think just being able to open a door and give people a real vehicle to become mentors in a real practical and tangible way, there's nothing like it. I started as a Reading Partners volunteer 6 years ago, and I was blown away. I could not wait to see my student every week. And after a while, she would bounce out of class, she'd see my orange lanyard, and she's like, oh, are you gonna come tomorrow? And I'm like, no, I only come twice a week. But that type of relationship, I think not only for that young person, but also for that person from the community is so powerful. And a lot of the folks that volunteer with us, they may live in the Fab 40s. They may live in Granite Bay. They may live in the nicer parts of Sacramento. And for them to go into Parkway, for them to go up into Robla, for them to go down to Meadowview and work with students down there, you can imagine they had some pretty big judgments before they walked into that school. And early on, I would hear comments, I hear this still, what's wrong with this neighborhood? What's wrong with people? How come these kids aren't educated? What are the teachers doing wrong? I mean, everyone in this room knows how it feels to have your job judged when they don't actually do your job. So I know everyone's like, yes. Nonprofits are like, you're volunteer driven. Why do you need money? Soapbox for another time. But essentially, you're getting people in the door into communities where once they get to know the kids, once they get to know the teachers, they get to know the principals, they realize how much good, how much positivity, how much opportunity, just that these kids are kids like any other kid. And they just need somebody to help them along the way. We had a volunteer in Robla, Ken, and Ken, he's like a middle-aged white dude. And Ken's like, I thought everything I did in my life, I just got it all by myself. And he said he was walking to pick up his student at Reading Partners, and he saw the kids playing on the playground. And he's like, you know what, it dawned on me how many people, just like Mr. Roberts was talking about, how many people helped me on my way to become the man that I am today, and the fact that I can stand here and give back to the community now is because of those people. And I think just having that epiphany was super powerful. And then the other mentoring role that I think, I know Daryl and I have talked a lot about this, is how we play roles as mentors to other organizations, how we help some of the grassroots community organizations that really are doing good work, really know the neighborhoods, but don't always have all the resources that some of the bigger organizations like ours have. And what'd you say on the phone? He said something really deep on the phone the other day. He said something like, if other people get help doing this work, then we don't have to do it all by ourselves. I was like, yes, put it on a mug. I love it. That's the most profound thing he's ever said, probably. I love you, Daryl. So anyway, I think, reaching that hand out where you can, and every person in this room could be a support to a young person in some way. It's just finding the right avenue for you.
Okay, last question. Moving forward, especially because I think we all recognize that we have a lot of challenges right now, what more do you think we can do to enhance public safety and build a stronger community? And I'll start with, how about Daryl? You want to start there? Is that good? I'm not sure if I'm right in line here.
Coach, counselor, role model, mentor. Those are the titles that law enforcement can have in the neighborhoods that we're most concerned about. Lastly, I guess I gotta say this before I stop. You know, one of my mentors who I didn't speak about today is here in the audience, Pastor Ephraim Williams. Pastor Williams of St. Paul Baptist Church was the man who I watched on a daily basis appoint people who weren't ready to lead in leadership roles and told them, you can do it. And he was there available to them. Until this day, I point to staff members, and they'll tell you, I say, you go do that, you got that covered. And sometimes it's that we have to put a vision on somebody that they don't see that vision yet themselves. So when you talk about work that we do, and we try to work we do, I think I'll steal a phrase I heard somebody use. They call us hope dealers, not dope dealers, but hope dealers. Because we truly understand that hope is the thing that will change the circumstances of many in our community that we want to see.
Can you please rap that song for me, Daryl? Can you rap that song for me? Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. I think that for each and every one of us, well, I don't think that we've each been given a platform. Whether you are a mother, a grandmother, a law enforcement officer, a Senate, a city council member, we each have a platform from which we have the opportunity to change somebody's narrative. We each have the opportunity to change somebody's narrative. I think about Cindy Stinton, who's out there in the light somewhere, when her and Susan saw a problem with too many women that were prostituting on Broadway, and they decided to change that narrative for somebody by creating CASH, Community Against Sexual Harm, that instead of just taking them to jail, brought them in and realized these were broken women that needed help. I think about Detective John Sido, who's not here today with Sac Sheriff's Department, who I'm very sad, he was our detective for I think about 8 years in charge of the human trafficking unit. And for every young woman that he went undercover for, that he had a father heart even in his position as a law enforcement officer, and every single one of them. I remember on Easter 3 years ago getting a call from Kaiser in South Sacramento, and it was John Sido. He was home, it was his day off, and this young woman had been raped and nearly killed in Reno. Got a ride back to Sacramento. You want to know why? Because Detective Sido was kind to her. She remembered his name, and she said, that's the only person I wanted to see. And she's being successful today, and I think about how he used his position to change somebody's narrative. I know that Chief Hahn would despise me telling this story because he doesn't like this kind of a thing, but about a month ago, in the height of our city's crisis and grief, he was doing an all-day filming with CNN, and they were wanting insight into the life of a chief and what that must be like. What must that be like? Hot in the summer, I bet. And those, ugh, I wish he knew. And one of the young ladies in our housing program that through coming on the Friday night neighborhood walks, our chief had gotten to know, had had a baby, and he was aware of this. Well, he went and made sure he found the perfect baby gift for her, which included a little tiny microphone for her baby because she loves to sing, and that's a story. She actually carries a mic with her wherever she goes. And he texted me and he said, I want you to know I told CNN to take a break for this one. I'm going to make this stop alone. And I remember when he came into the room, the look on this young lady's face, I mean, she just couldn't believe it, that our chief took the time to come, and this beautiful card that sits on her bookshelf, we were cleaning her room last night, that says, you know, that shared with her his belief that she could make it, and passed on even the strength of his mother into this young woman. And she said, I've never trusted law enforcement before, and now she has Sac PD proudly with her little dog and little Sac dog, super cute. I was like, Shamika, this is adorable. But our chief changed the narrative in somebody's life. You know, I'm a mother that gets to change the narrative. My husband is a father and a husband that gets to change the narrative. If there's teachers in this room, and I believe that forever, when we talk about mentoring and relationship, it's simply using our platform. Whatever that is, it's using our influence to change the narrative in one life. And I believe that as a people, if we can continue to do this, that there is so much more good. Paul Dernberger, I could just go on and on and on, but I will pass my 2 minutes, of people in this room and so much good that is happening in our city in the midst of a few voices, that narratives are being changed every single day.
So I'll keep mine short. I think what will change it is that every neighborhood in our city has the same level of trust and belief in the police department, and the police department the same thing towards the community. And I think over the last month or so we've seen, and we knew this already, but we've seen over the last month that that's not the case right now. And the reason why we see some of the things that happen after the shooting that happened in our town is because there's some people in our city, some neighborhoods, some segments of our city that don't think that the police department and law enforcement in general cares about them. And I think we can all change that, because every one of these same neighborhoods can point to individual officers that they know cares about them, that they know they would, like Rochelle just said, that they would call in a time of need or a time of information or a time of something that they needed help, except they still don't trust the police department. They trust that one officer, but not the police department. So I believe that every single neighborhood could have that same level of trust, and if we did, there are some amazing things that could happen, and we wouldn't be going through what we're going through right now.
Yeah, I think everybody really touched on it. I think for me, the way we improve public safety is really exposure. So those of you that have done implicit bias type training, one of the ways that you can address your bias is by just being exposed to people that are different from yourselves. And that goes both ways. I'm not just pointing my finger at everyone in this room, but the folks out in our communities too. And the best example, when I was just brand new to Reading Partners, I had met Lieutenant Brian Ellis. I don't know if Brian Ellis is in the room, but from SAC PD, we went to City Management Academy a couple years ago, and he found out I came to Reading Partners, and he's like, I want to do something. I want to get SAC PD involved. I want to do something. And so I brought him out to visit the Peter Burnett Elementary Reading Center, which is near Fruit Ridge and Stockton Boulevard. And as soon as he walked on campus, oh my goodness, the office manager said, did you call him? What's the matter? What's going on? Why did you call him? Why is he here? The kids were running around at pickup time, all freaking out because there was a cop. And I'm naive, I'm a nonprofit person. I was like, this is awesome, it's officer friendly. Wrong, wrong. But I had a long talk with the principal. Are you good with this? Are you good to have officers in uniform coming on campus, working directly with students? And he was like, we need to do this. We have to do this, because the only time that these kids see law enforcement is when there's something going on with their big brother, something going on with mom, something going on with dad, something going on with the neighbor. And over time, it was like a rock star came on campus. Brian had some members of his team coming in once a week to work with the students, and it was like, how did you get your job? I want to know how do I become a police officer? The kids completely changed because they had that face-to-face, one-on-one interaction with someone wearing a badge, and I was just blown away because I was really worried. And then after the situation with Stephon Clark, Mayor Steinberg wanted to come and visit one of our reading centers. And he wanted to go to Parkway Elementary. Parkway has the largest African-American community of all the schools that we serve. And I talked to their principal and I said, what do you think about this? Are you good with this? And he said the exact same thing that the Peter Burnett principal said, was I don't want these kids and I don't want these members of our leaders in our community to only come around when things are bad. I want them to come around and see the kids doing what they do all the time. And Mayor Steinberg talked to a kid in the office, and the kid was talking to me. He's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the kid said, a police officer, which it was pretty touching and pretty amazing that was his response. So just exposure, all of us breaking out of our comfort zones, going into communities, having coffee with people, just doing stuff that we don't normally do. And I think, really putting pressure on those around us to do the same thing.
Great. All right. Thank you all to all of our panel members. So, hopefully, everybody understands now why I think this is one of the greatest days we have here in Sacramento, is bringing us together. And as Unique said in that video, it's all about breaking barriers. There's a couple things that I just want to end on this note, and that's really a couple quotes. And one is one that I've said many times, and that is that each of us, whether we have anything to do with children or not, are directly affected by how they're treated. And then lastly, I just want to leave it with a quote from Martin Luther King, which came from a 1968 speech. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination. Let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make our country what it ought to be. I don't think there's any doubt in this room that Sacramento is an incredible community. Each and every one of us here today is a fabric of our community. I have no doubt that together we can rise with greater readiness. Together we can stand with greater determination, and together we can move forward and become even a stronger community. I thank all of our sponsors, our panel members, and everyone here joining us today, and say thank you. And we really look forward to you next year. So thank you all for coming.